Trust the process. Pain is power. All great things take time. I am unbreakable. Unbreakable. Unbreakable.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Unbreakables Podcast, episode 7. I am your host, Jay Murga, and this is my brother and my co-host, GiftThePoet.
It is an honor to introduce our guest for episode 7, a disciplined mind who holds leadership and influence to an elevated level. He is the CEO of OliveDrab Performance and the CEO of the Photo Booth Guy. He also takes part in Sam Bakhtiar's 4 a.m. Club. Without further ado, allow us to introduce Marine Corps Gunnery Sergeant Andrew Cruz.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate the hospitality, and I'm happy to be here. Looking forward to having a great conversation with you guys.
Absolutely,
Awesome,
man.
thank you.
And like we mentioned before, thank you so much for taking the time to come to us and to share your story on our platform. And just like any other, think of it like a normal, organic conversation. Our goal on this platform is to provide knowledge, wisdom, and impact to anybody that we can. And if they're able to take anything from our message, then we're doing our jobs. So we always like to start off just deep diving into who you are and what led you to where you are today. And that's overcoming adversities, hardships, failures, whatever you feel comfortable with discussing that is. We'll just start off with your upbringing, and then we'll slowly transition to what led you here.
Excellent. Yeah, no, sounds good. So going back to childhood, I grew up in a single parent household. It's pretty much mother and me. She played the superwoman role, mom, dad figure, and she was an immigrant from Costa Rica. I'm first generation here. I was born in LA, and father was pretty much absent. I've met him and I've had some relationship, but growing up, he definitely wasn't that father figure role model who was there to guide and mentor and teach me to do things. But yeah, I had a humble upbringing. I know my mother had a humble upbringing. She grew up in Costa Rica. I know for a fact that she provided more for me than what she had growing up. And what that did for me was it instilled a certain level of responsibility that I knew deep down the line, whenever it was that I was going to have a family and kids, that I would always want to pass it forward or pay it forward and be able to provide more than what I had growing up.
Of course.
Right. I always had everything that was needed to survive.
More
right.
of a necessity, right?
More than necessities. We had a roof over our head. I always had food to eat. But my mom was always at work. And one thing that I admired or really identified from her was that strong work ethic, and she had a positive mental attitude. She's from Costa Rica. One of the sayings in Costa Rica is pura vida, right? So it's like full of life or whatnot, and that in itself is essentially like things could always be worse, right?
So she was always optimistic through those times.
Optimistic all the time. She's always optimistic. And reflecting back now, I can see I could have easily been some sort of statistic, because growing up without a father figure, you can easily go one way or the other.
Absolutely.
And then just with one parent being absent at work all of the time, I was fairly rogue, right? Nothing too crazy to where I was going to get in trouble with the law, but my left and right lateral limits were fairly wide. But being that I didn't want to disappoint, I always stayed within a certain parameter where it was some healthy fun.
Step out a little bit, come back. She'll pull you
Right.
back in, right?
Yeah.
So did you have any siblings? Or do you have any siblings?
No siblings.
Oh man, so the only child.
Yeah. So when I was home alone, I was home alone.
Literally.
Which is good though, because alone time is great to be able to find yourself and figure out what you want to do and all of your passions.
Yeah, most definitely. I think back then though, I was just really bored, and just make fun with playing video games and stuff like that. But no, I had a fair amount of friends. I keep in contact with like a handful, like so literally like 4 or 5 friends from growing up from middle school to high school and
That's
whatnot.
pretty awesome.
But yeah, I would say the adversity piece is all a matter of perspective, and all you know is what you know, right?
Absolutely.
So when growing up in a single parent household, that was my reality, and that's all that I knew up until a certain extent, because all of my friends, or the majority of my friends, had dual parent households. I lived in a condo or a townhouse or an apartment, whereas I'd go to their houses and they're in a single family house or single family residence, mom and dad both present. So I was able to see the difference.
So you knew it existed.
I knew it existed, and I don't know if that was one of the things that put a chip on my shoulder. Not necessarily like angry at the world, but I knew that there was more to be had, and everyone likes nice things, and
Absolutely.
you know, so it's I knew I always wanted nice things. Just the how piece was really missing.
Or the how or the why? Like why? Where? Like, did you ever question at that age where your dad was, or did you ever question it to your mom? Like, why isn't he here? Especially if you were able to see it with your friends.
No, you know, she never really painted him as, like, let's say, a villain, but didn't really paint him as a saint either. So it's like he was doing his own thing. She always created this illustration that he's a successful person, but has a gambling problem. So he's doing him. And then growing up, I saw him like once every 3 or 4 months. He'd give me like $100 or $200, and so I would be happy with it. But it wasn't until like later in adult life that the relationship just ceased.
Okay. Did you ever hold any resentment? Looking back now, like you as an adult, like did you have resentment towards your father?
I wouldn't say resentment. I think I'd probably say that it inspired me to, because I knew down the line at some point I was going to have kids. So right now I have a 3-year-old daughter. And one thing that holds me grounded is really being the person that I would have needed at that point in my life.
So the complete opposite.
The complete opposite, yeah. And I feel like that's been an ongoing theme in many of the things that most would see as adversity or a challenge. I seem to find the opportunity or the positive, optimistic piece of a situation. So yeah, for me, Alani's a big why, right? In regards to like what I do with sacrificing time and my drive and all of that. But yeah, really just being the guy who I would have appreciated, or the person that I needed when I was growing up. I'm gonna be that person for her. And then also being able to deliver more for her than what I had growing up.
That is awesome.
That's awesome. It's going to teach her so much. And the fact that you were able to find your situation and turn it into a lesson, that's beautiful, because not a lot of people could do that. You had the choice to build that resentment and to say, you know what, like, I can take after this guy and I could just be the same statistic as not being in Alani's life or anything like that. So I can commend you on that.
Absolutely.
Truly.
Thank you.
And it seems, just from an outside perspective, even prior to this, like, you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
And that's commendable.
I'm gonna tell my wife that.
Let her know. She hears it first. No, but okay, so to move a little forward, how did the military come about?
So growing up, mom was the common theme. The ironic piece is that she comes from Costa Rica, and it's a sovereign country, and Costa Rica has no military. And she was the big pusher. She was you're either going to go to college or you're going to go to the military.
Wow.
One of the two.
Make the choice.
Your choice. And me growing up, I was a big procrastinator. Academics wasn't really my thing. I was able to fly by and pass every grade with no issue. I think I lacked self-discipline, and I procrastinated. And one time I would tell her, oh yeah, I'm going to go to college, this and that. And she's like, did you take your SATs? And I'm like, no, I did not. Did you look into financial aid? No, I did not. She's like, okay, well then what are you doing? And she was like, you're probably going to go to the military. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to check out the military. And it's like, she would circle back. Like, she would follow up with me. Have you checked it out yet? And I'm just like, no, I haven't. And she's like, well, what's up? And I was like, I'm going to get to it. I'm going to schedule an appointment, this and that.
How old were you at this time?
17.
17.
So it was like leading into this senior year in the beginning. And it's like you have to set yourself up for post-high school. And it got to the point where she actually contacted a recruiter, had a recruiter come to the house. And it was actually the Army recruiter that came out, and I heard what he had to say, and I loved it. He just talked about financial security, being able to stand up on your own 2 feet, picking a job of some sort. And at this point in time, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do in life, but the one thing that really stood out to me was wanting to get into law enforcement. And so backwards planning from there, I was just like, okay, well, what are my options? I can either join the military and have a military background for law enforcement, or I can go to college, do a criminal justice major, and then circle back. Mm-hmm. Or I can be a police cadet and go to junior college and then apply at 20 and a half and then go that route. So the way I saw it, there's 3 different options.
But it was going to lead you to your end goal.
To the end goal of law enforcement. And college was just not a good fit for me. My mind wasn't where it needed to be in regards to self-discipline. And so I told the recruiter, yeah, it's cool. I like it, this and that. Like a week or 2 later, one of my other friends, Matt, he had a cousin that was in the Marine Corps, and he was like, hey, man, I'm thinking about joining the Marine Corps. My cousin's in it. Do you want to go with me to check out the recruiting office? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. I'm down. So I went to the recruiting office. The Marine Corps office just had a totally different vibe. The uniform was cool. The guys in the office, they're like funny jocks. And
a lot more respected though, right? The Marines versus the Army.
I'm biased, but yes, right? I don't know what it was about the blue pants with the khaki shirt, the background of it being the most difficult, the most challenging. I sat down, I saw the recruiting videos. You see this kid with like a chubby looking face, and then after boot camp, it's a little bit more chiseled.
He's all lean.
Yeah, he's all lean. I'm just like, that's what I need right there.
I want that.
Yeah.
And so it was really the self-discipline piece was really what called out to me, and I understood that was something that I was lacking, and that's something that I needed to be set up for success. Because when I was a little kid, I'd see all these nice things, and I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna have that car. This is my house, or this and that.
You're really visualizing, right?
Yeah. So then I pivoted. I decided that I was gonna join the Marine Corps or become a United States Marine. And then about 6 months after high school graduation, I started that journey. By far the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life.
Wow.
It's good for one go around.
So did you sign active duty?
Yes. So I was active duty. The game plan was to do 4 years in the Marine Corps, get out, and then pursue law enforcement. But I ended up staying with the organization and growing with it.
That is awesome.
And now you're a recruiter?
Yeah. So now I've been in the recruiting environment for the last 8 years. My first 7 were in aviation logistics.
Oh, nice.
So aviation supply.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I never knew the Marine Corps had airplanes until that point.
And I commend you as well, because the Marine Corps, the reputation is it's up there. when you think
Very up
about
to par.
Army, when you think about Navy, and then you have the Marines. And the Marines are just, they're very disciplined and they're very upright and they're very strong.
Yeah.
So you're a very, very brave young man. Is there any advice that you can give for young 17-year-olds that are going into the Marine Corps that are still deciding what job to choose and things like that?
Or even what your take on recommending military? Because I know, just to piggyback back off his question, you know, people say, why do you want to go to the military? You know, you're just signing your life away. But you actually being an advocate, living through it, what advice would you give that 17-year-old?
I would definitely say this. I can't speak so much for the other branches of service. I can say that the Marine Corps has the most difficult physical fitness standards. The culture of the organization is the most rigid. Rigid would be the best word for it. But reflecting back on my time, I would say that if you're looking to change your mindset and really develop your self-discipline to the next level or 3 levels up, leadership development, self-discipline, and resiliency is really the huge takeaways that I've had the opportunity of having ingrained into me, because the military is a controlled environment to a certain extent. So you're forced to develop. Most people, the stigma is that the military will brainwash you or have you thinking a certain way, but it's really just you further developing within a controlled environment. It's gonna force you to change as a person, but the way I see it, it changes you in a positive direction, because it makes you more responsible. It holds you accountable. It enforces the thought of taking initiative, being proactive instead of reactive, and just leadership within the organization is a huge thing. Small unit leadership, and it's pushed and pushed and pushed, because the Marine Corps is the smallest branch of service where we push the largest amount of responsibility down to the lowest level possible. So it took me a long time to even realize that I was being put into leadership positions, because you just hear leadership, and it's like, well, what is leadership, you know? I grew a lot as a person in the recruiting environment. I can get to that, but going back to the 17-year-old, if you're simply looking for tangible benefits, in regards to like money, education, technical skill job that you're looking to get into to translate, every branch of service can provide those basic necessities. All of the tangible benefits are the same across the line, whether it's the Navy, the Air Force, the Coast Guard, the Marine Corps, or the Air Force. All of that's the same. It's really the culture of the organization. So if anyone's really interested in taking a look at the military as a tentative option for post-high school, or you got a taste of the real world and maybe want to circle back, it's always good to just sit down and hear out the recruiter, see what their take is on their branch of service, and whatever seems to be the best fit for that individual, pull the trigger and move forward.
Absolutely.
You know,
That's
execute.
Awesome.
I love that, man.
Nice. And I love that you're touching base on self-discipline. I'm deep diving right now into Jocko Willink's Discipline is Freedom, and it's really changing my perspective on just freedom itself, because I used to always think, you know, like I just want to do what I want to do. But there's a time and a place for everything, and everything is supposed to be executed in temperance, and discipline is something that you're supposed to hold very high. So it's really awesome to sit down with you, because you are a disciplined individual. You can see it in your character, and it's really, really
everything
cool.
about you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
It's up there, man.
I appreciate it.
So I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
So how long have you been in the military now?
So it's been a little over 15 years now.
Wow, that is awesome. And okay, so your original goal was law enforcement.
Yeah.
So I'm able to relate to you in this sense, because for the audience listening, that was my original goal for the last 10, 15 years. Now, what changed for you?
Good question. So initially, my first duty station was Cherry Point, North Carolina. I did my 4 years there, and then I was looking to, at that point, it's either get out or stay in. And at the time, it was 2007. The Marine Corps was looking to increase their numbers. And what that meant was they need to retain more, and they also need to recruit more. So for the first time ever, the Marine Corps is not known for doing bonuses.
Right.
But they're dishing out bonuses.
Take advantage, right?
Right? So here I am, 22-year-old Andrew, and good old Uncle Sam or the Marine Corps is like, hey, if you want to stay for another 4 years, we'll give you $30,000. And I was like, let's run it back. Let's do it.
Nice.
Let's get it. Let's go. And for re-enlistment purposes, you get the opportunity to request your next duty station. I went to North Carolina for the needs of the Marine Corps, and then I re-enlisted, and I came back to California. I grew up in Ontario, California, and I got stationed down in Miramar, and I was there for about two and a half years. Once you've been in the Marine Corps for, let's say, 5-6 years, you're forced to make a decision of what special duty assignment you would like to do. So it's either you take some initiative and you pick one, or it circles back to the needs of the Marine Corps and they're going to pick one for you. Right. And the special duty assignment is put in place to maintain your level of competitiveness for promotion. So the Marine Corps is very performance-based, so you always want to be in, let's say, the top third of whatever it is that you're doing. One of the sayings is bloom where you're planted, right? So the special duty assignments that the Marine Corps has, it's drill instructor, so the Marine that does that transformation from civilian to United States Marine. There's recruiter, there's embassy duty. Well, those are the three core ones. Drill instructor, recruiter, or embassy duty. And for me, I was more of a, I would say, social butterfly, or I'd rather speak to individuals than be the guy that's like yelling and putting on the show. In their face, right? So I volunteered to go on recruiting duty, and I was actually a recruiter in the city of Lakewood, so not too far from here, right there on Carson and Woodruff. Yeah. And when I was facing this point of getting out or staying in for the second go around, so I went to a hiring process for CHP. At the time, they had this like side shuffle thing, a part of their fitness test, and it was supposed to test your agility, and I didn't practice it. Because I was like, you know what, I'm in shape. It's not gonna be a big deal. I got it, yeah. And with my size, I come to find out I'm not too agile. So I gave it a shot. You're supposed to pass like 15 lines in 10 seconds, and it was like the first shake I got it in like 10.2 seconds, and it was like, all right, try again. Maybe you want to tie your shoes or whatever. And I was like, no, I'm good, thank you. And tried it again. It was like 10.1 second, and I was like, oh, well, we really love for you to reapply. Thank you for coming. And I was like, oh, okay, well, thank you for having me. And I was like, all right, well, maybe I'll just stay in for more, right?
So did you try again after that first fail?
After that first fail, I applied to LA County Sheriff's, LAPD, but before going further into the hiring processes, the recruiting environment is very high tempo for the Marine Corps. Yes. Yeah. Very, very high tempo. A lot of moving parts. So I didn't have time. I didn't have time to really pursue that. And while I was in the recruiting environment, I met this individual. His name is Kevin. He was a recruiter. I took his spot in the office, and then he went back to the operating forces. And we just sort of kept in contact. One day he hits me up and he told me, hey man, I have an ATM in a barber shop and it's cranking out some serious cash. And I was like, what do you mean you have an ATM in a barber shop, right? And he was like, yeah, it was the place I get my hair cut at every week. It's cash only. They didn't have an ATM, so I just asked them. I did some research and I put an ATM in there and I'm making money. And I was like, what?
What? I didn't even know that was possible.
Yeah. It's possible, right?
What?
So that was really my first taste of entrepreneurship. I was like, I'm gonna get into this So I did some research. I was looking into it, and some of the skill set from the recruiting environment, it's really like consultative sales. So I created a list of some cash only barbershops that I wanted to visit. I created a list. I went out there and I made contact. I was looking to speak with the barbershop owners. I would set an appointment, present, and then looking to close. And I remember I did this. This was like in 2013. I made a list of 15 barbershops, and I went through like 12 no's. And in my mind, I knew that the first person that says yes, I'm putting an ATM in that shop. So,
Nice.
And you didn't give up after those 12 no's?
No, it was number 13. Number 13 said yes.
You guys heard it first. It's
And-
going to take 100 no's to get that one yes, guys.
Yeah.
Power of perseverance,
Yeah.
right?
And that's interesting too, because the military taught you how to essentially execute business to business sales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, so my foundation in sales came from the recruiting environment. And I'll tell you what, it was very nerve-wracking initially, because it's essentially taking someone. So I was in the aviation logistics side, and then now I'm essentially now you're a sales rep per se for the military. It's like, go find the next generation, and it's like, oh shit.
And do you guys have to hit a quota?
Yeah, there are quotas.
Okay.
But you're just expected to perform. There's no commissions, so it's like you're just expected to perform because this is what you do. But it just put me in a position to, okay, I need to figure out how to deliver this message. I need to figure out how to communicate effectively. They teach us that we go through like an 8-week school of how to be a effective communicator in a consultative sales situation. But the art and the science is not exactly where it needs to be, right?
It's
totally
not
different.
matching up. It's not matching up.
Opposite ends of the spectrum. So the only way to really get to be familiarized with the sales process is by actually going out and doing it. And by the time I started doing this ATM thing, I think I was like 2.5 years into recruiting.
Okay.
So I was more comfortable speaking. I understood the process. And yeah, I started out with one ATM my first year. Year 2, I got
awesome.
number 2 and 3. And then year 3, I grew from 3 to 15.
And these were all placed in barbershops?
Yeah, so 14 of them are in cash-only barbershops, one's in a hotel.
So I have a question for you. Why barbershops?
So my buddy told me he had it in a cash-only barbershop, so it's what I knew. Right?
Wow.
Yeah, you essentially found that golden nugget like we were talking about before the show, and you just took advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah, so with that, it's like my niche, what I knew was cash only barbershops that have high foot traffic. So I take a look at their Yelp to see. That's how I did like my pre-qualify. So if they have a fair amount of Yelp reviews, that must mean that a fair amount of people will go get their haircut there. And the people that are going to get their haircut there are going to be faced with a life decision, right?
They're going to have to, absolutely.
You either go to the bank, pull out some cash, or you
use the
take
ATM for convenience.
Route. Yeah. So you pay the surcharge or the premium for the convenience piece.
I think that's great because you guys found a problem and then you came up with a solution.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
And I didn't reinvent the wheel either.
Not at all, right?
Well, one thing that holds true, and I feel like I've seen this in many different areas of business, is there's an abundance of money out there.
Yes.
Right? So there's no reason why people can't cross-pollinate, even if you're in the same industry, because there's enough for everyone to eat and enough for everyone to go around and get their fair share of the pie.
No, Andrew, my sister and myself, we come from poverty. We come from humble beginnings like yourself. What do you tell a viewer out there who has a scarcity mindset? Because a lot of times they don't think in abundance like yourself. They think, you know what? I have $5 and I'm going to save all $5. I'm not going to take care of myself. I'm just going to save it. What do you tell them as far as making that transition from scarcity to abundance?
I would say just through my life experience, we all put our shorts or pants on one leg at a time. We all have the same 24 hours in a day, and it really just depends on what you do with your time. And nothing changes if nothing changes.
Damn.
Right.
That's powerful right there.
So it's really there's things that you can control and there's things that you can't control. You can't control outside influences and whatnot, but you can control what you do with your $5 or what actions you take to get more. So it's really just changing the mindset, being more optimistic and understanding that you're capable of doing more. You're just choosing not to do more. So choose to do more.
Yeah, everyone out there, you have the power of choice. You choose every day, so take advantage. And I want you guys to comment below on a big choice that you're making this year that's going to really benefit you guys in the long run.
Absolutely. Now, you said it's mindset. Now, were there ever days where it was hard for you to keep moving forward? And what did you do in those times? Like, how did you get yourself out of that dark place or that rut?
That's where discipline kicks in. No one's going to care about you as much as you care about yourself. So whenever there were those times, like let's say for the gym, for the example, right? My level of motivation to go lift may not be there on a day-to-day basis, but because I have a lifting partner, my friend Sam, in a sense, without him knowing it, he's holding me accountable to be there, because all we have is our word, and your word is your bond, and the way you do something is the way you do everything. I get up and go, and I know in my heart and in my mind that after you're done with the workout, you never regret it.
Of course.
So it's like, and then with that same mindset, it's like when you take action on something, you should be happy that you took that action, and then you could always reflect back and say to yourself like, oh shit, I'm gonna do that again, or I'm never gonna do that again. But at least at that point, you have that ability to never really think about, what if I would have done that, or why did I not do that, kind of thing.
That's very true.
Yeah, no regrets.
So when motivation dies, self-discipline takes you to the next level.
And at that point, it's essentially autopilot, because you're surrendering yourself, and it's for the bigger cause, essentially.
Absolutely. So I would say when someone is going to pursue a journey, they really have to understand why they're doing it, what their purpose is. And so for me, I would say that my why is me taking care of my family, taking care of my daughter, being that person that I would have loved to have had, being that provider to give more than what I had growing up, and then just continue that cycle of continuous improvement of life.
Of course.
Yeah, a lot of people, they want to be generous like yourself with providing for your family and being selfless, but in order to even do that, you have to be selfish and put yourself first.
Almost definitely.
By showing up at 4 a.m. and getting out of bed and doing all of that, you're essentially doing it for your family, and now they get to reap the benefits of having an amazing father who knows who he is. And no, it's great, man. It's awesome.
Really is. And I see you guys' stories too, you and Sam. Shout out Sam Bakhtiar. I'm like, the 4 a.m. club, you guys are, like you said, it's discipline, but you guys are consistent.
Yeah.
Consistent. And it's not hard. I have those days too where I'm like, damn, I don't want to work out. But the hardest part is getting there. And like you mentioned earlier, once you're there, you don't regret it.
No, yeah, absolutely. And now I'm conditioned to where we hit it 7 days a week.
That's awesome,
we hit it this morning. We went to a different gym this morning, so I had to leave earlier. I had to wake up earlier, so I was up at like 3:15 when normally it's like 3:40 or something like that. Yeah. And then just crushed a awesome leg day.
That's awesome, man.
Nice.
Well, whenever you guys are in the area, you guys are more than welcome to hit it here.
Yeah. I know. We've talked about hitting different gyms, and
that's pretty awesome.
And not keeping it so monotonous. We went to the Mecca in Venice not too long ago. It was super cool if you've never been. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I know Sam just recently interviewed Mike O'Hearn, and he's at the Mecca.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of influencers out there, and it's very positive. So that's definitely great. What's your sleeping regimen like? Because you're waking up at 3, 4 in the morning, 7 days a week. What time do you go to bed?
Usually like 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Okay.
I get about 5 hours. 5 hours.
But deep sleep.
Deep-ish with the 3
Right.
It's definitely not
So,
deep sleep, no.
Nah, so there's some broken sleep in there, and then probably highly motivated via caffeine. I think that's a vice, but I do try to offset that by drinking I consume about like a gallon of water a day.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
So diving back into your entrepreneur journey.
Yeah.
So it started from the ATMs.
That was
Now, how did the photo booth come into play?
So it's funny. I went to a wedding. I went to my buddy Kevin's wedding, and I saw that he had a photo booth there for his guests, and that was the first time I had ever been introduced to something like that. And I was like, "Oh, this shit's cool shit."
He's spending his own night in the photo booth.
So the photo booth was really cool. It was a lot of fun, and I was like, "Hey, Kev, man, how much did you pay for this?" And he was like, "Oh, it was pretty expensive. It was like $800." And I was like, "What?" And so that it sparked something, sort of like an opportunity. So I did some research, and I looked at what the ongoing what the initial investment is and what the ongoing costs were. And the ongoing costs were relatively low, so it was really just you got to swallow that pill in the beginning,
Yes.
and then you make your money back, and then it's great from there moving forward. But at that time, I didn't. This was like around the same time as the ATMs, and I was like, okay, so I'm either gonna move forward with ATMs or I'm gonna move forward with the photo booth. One of the two. I'm gonna pick one. And I'm gonna dive in head first and do something. I wasn't ready to give my weekends. So then I moved forward with ATMs. So then once I got to the 15 ATMs, and that was steady, I was talking to my buddy Thomas, and he told me one time, because we chat fairly often. He was like, "Hey man, my aunt, she's in the valley, and she does photo booths, and she's crushing it. I think I'm gonna do it too." And I was like, "Really? That's funny. I thought about doing photo booths like 2-3 years ago." And what do you mean she's crushing it, right? And
Please elaborate.
and he was like, yeah, she made like $8,000 in December. So we were speaking in January.
Wow.
And I was like, $8,000? I had no
Come
idea
again?
that there was a demand like that for photo booths. And at that point I was like, that's making more than the ATMs.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna do it too. And
So you just made that decision. I'm going to do it too.
So I made that decision. Once I saw that it was like the opportunity became real, because it was something that I had already researched before. I felt like it was going to be good, but I didn't know it was going to be that good.
Wow.
So him and I actually started a photo booth company at the same time. I think his is based out of Pasadena, mine's based out of Chino Hills. But from there, moving forward, him and I would talk like on a daily basis. This is what I'm doing. What are you doing? This and that. So we were essentially masterminding amongst each other, cross-pollinating our ideas and our structure and what we're doing, what we're looking to generate leads. And it was really a situation of iron sharpens iron.
Right.
And he's also in the Marine Corps. He's in the recruiting environment. That's how him and I met. He's also the co-founder of OliveDrab. So we ended up doing a joint venture.
Wow, that is awesome.
But yeah, so the photo booth, my expectation was to do 2 to 4 events a month, and we launched that 2 to 4 a month event expectation. Quickly went from like 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20. Yeah, and within the first 3 months, I went from having 1 photo booth to 3 photo booths. So like the first year, I ran with 3 photo booths. I was one of the attendants. I had 2 team members that were with me, and year 1 we did 236 events.
Holy cow.
236.
That's amazing.
Year 2, thank you. Year 2, we ended up doing 465 events. So that I went from 3 photo booths, I increased to 6 photo booths, and then a mirror booth, which is like another style. And then so year 2 we ran with essentially 7 photo booths, And then this year, I now have 9 photo booths, and I have a team of 9. I moved the operation from my garage to a warehouse in Chino, and now I'm not doing any photo booth events. And
That's
I want to
amazing.
say, yeah, we're on track to do like 520, 550 events this year.
So you're increasing year after year.
Yeah, so
That's incredible.
there's that growth. I would attribute the leadership piece to the Marine Corps with the leadership development. I was able to create a team, develop them, train them,
And delegate.
have a system put in place, and there's some checks and balances, and it's doing good. So we have a team of 9. I have like my number 2 guy. Shout out to Solero.
Shout out.
He's my number 2 guy. He's a big piece of the puzzle, and but yeah. So ATMs fed into the photo booth guy. The photo booth guy and ATMs collectively fed into OliveDrab Performance, and then I'm gonna start doing business with Sam,
That is
and
awesome.
looking to open up a camp in Eastvale.
Wow.
Nice.
Shout out.
Yeah, so
That is
that's
awesome.
amazing.
super excited about that. But it's like one business venture created the opportunity and able to invest into something larger that brings in a bigger ROI or return on investment.
That is amazing.
Yeah, and with the initial team, did it always start with the same people? Because when we started this venture, we started with a lot more people, and
About 9
eventually,
people.
yeah, everyone started tapering off, and you started to see where their head was at.
Mm-hmm.
Did you always have that same team, and did it just grow at that point? Did some people decide to leave? You know what? I don't see the vision, and so on.
Yeah, I would say the first 2 team members from year 1, they're no longer here. But I'd probably say the majority of the team that was in year 2 is here in year 3.
That
That's
is
awesome.
awesome.
And then we've just grown from referrals. So it's like people that they knew that they felt would be a good fit for the photo booth guy is how I've brought in additional team members.
Yeah, and for all the viewers out there, the mind is truly a magnet, and you will gravitate to people that are like you, and you are the people you hang out with. So it's no surprise that you're able to use your mind and be able to just build a team like that. And it seems like you guys are doing amazing. I mean,
Absolutely.
500 gigs in a year.
Yeah.
It's
You're
crazy.
crushing it, man.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it was a confirmation too. Seeing your friend do it, him mention it again to you, it was like, okay, I definitely need to put my hands into that.
Yeah, no, it definitely did. And one other thing from like a personal development thing that the photo booth guy, the PBG, did for me was it really just gave me validation in what I'm capable of. It totally opened up my eyes to what's out there. And for a commodity to become a multiple 6-figure company that is predominantly a weekend thing it was just mind-blowing. So at that point, it was really money's out there to be made.
Do you do that full time now?
No, I'm still in the Marine Corps.
Okay, so your day job is the Marine Corps.
Yeah, so my day job is the Marine Corps. With the system that I have in place, it's damn near fully automated. I field phone calls, and then I book the reservations onto our calendar.
Wow.
But from the point after they reserve the date, it moves on to another team member within the system to keep the process moving forward.
And the beauty in that is the Marine Corps was always implementing leadership,
Yes.
leadership,
Yeah.
leadership,
And
now
discipline.
it's full circle, and you're doing what a leader is supposed to be doing. You're trusting everyone in the process, and it's working harmoniously. So that's really nice.
Yes. So I need to ask you, were you always into fitness, or did that come when you joined the Marine Corps?
That came from the Marine Corps. I played soccer in high school, but I never lifted weights.
Oh, wow.
So I would say upper body strength wise, not there.
How about
Right.
now when you're working out with Sam? Is
Yeah.
it there now? No.
Yeah, no, it's definitely there now. He's definitely a great workout partner. He implements some new things from time to time, hit those different angles. But it's been a great ride being his training partner. But yeah, the Marine Corps is really what instilled that into my identity. It's the culture of the organization. Physical fitness is here, leadership is here, and I believe that there's a direct correlation between leadership and physical fitness, strong body, strong mind, and so on. But yeah, I saw some gym rats that I worked closely with, and I was like, hey man, can I go to the gym with you?
Just like that.
Yeah, and it's the culture of camaraderie within the organization's there, and they're like, yeah, just come on, let's go, let's get it. After work, we're going to the gym, and just like anything else you do in life, there's always somewhere where you begin. And I was weak as shit, and it's like when you first start going to the gym, it's like borderline embarrassing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You put yourself in a vulnerable position. But you'd be surprised no one makes fun of you. Everyone appreciates the fact that you're trying. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's really just push, inspire, motivate. And you just have to create these internal goals that you want to hit. So it's like at first on flat bench, that's like the most common. I just wanted to have the 145 plate on each side.
Yeah, everyone wants that.
Like, let me hit that. And once I was able to hit that, it's like I want to hit my body weight. Once you hit your body weight, I want to hit 2 plates, and
you just keep increasing from there.
Yeah, and you just continue to grow strength and so on. But now I'm just at a point I just need to maintain, right?
Yeah, of course. Just like anything, maintain, sustain it, and just keep going from there.
What's your training regimen look like? Do you separate it with push-pull, or do you do specific body parts a week? I mean, 7 days a week.
Yeah, so Monday would be chest and tricep. Or no, I'm sorry, chest and biceps. Tuesday is back and triceps. Wednesday, legs. Thursday, shoulders. Friday, back and chest. Saturday, bis and tris. Sunday, legs.
That's so you're probably feeling sore every day, no?
Yeah, well, I'm conditioned pretty good. I think I got a little soreness in my back. Yeah. But it's good. I feel great. I think I turned 34 later this month. And I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life.
Wow.
No, you look great, man. And that's interesting because that regimen, it's like posterior and then anterior. I never really hear that, but that's great. It's working.
Yeah, well, I'd give a tribute to Sam on that one, because so the method behind that madness was when you're working at your chest, the secondary is the tricep. So instead of doing your common or traditional chest and tris, it was chest and bis. To just get a more full pump.
That makes total sense. So how did that come about? How did you end up landing Sam as a workout partner and being part of the 4 a.m. club?
Yeah, so at one point, I used to go to the gym like during my work day. I was able to cut away from the recruiting office and go to the gym, get my pump. And then this is where like my wife comes into play, because the work day is long in the recruiting environment, right. And I would start to get the business, right? Because if I'm going to the gym, if I didn't go to the gym, maybe I could have come home sooner.
Right.
Or after work, do I go to the gym or do I go to the family? And it's like I'm put in that position, and maybe I don't go to the gym. So then it circles back to there's things you can control and there's things you can't control. So then I just started to go to the gym on the front end of my day, because I can control what time I wake up and what time I start to make that move. And I started going to the gym at 4 a.m. on my own in Chino Hills. I live out there. And just over time, there's like a handful of people that are in the gym at 4 a.m. I see this guy with a beard, and I'm just like, he looks familiar.
Did you know who he was at that point?
I was pretty deep into like self-development and just being the best version of self. And I had seen him because I know the camp and Fit Body Boot Camp headquarters are both in Chino or Chino Hills. So I knew who Sam was shortly thereafter, and I DM'd him. I was like, hey, you're with some people, but I just wanted to say what's up. And the relationship happened organic because we were both already lifting at 4 a.m.
Wow.
And initially, like our workout days aligned. Well, it started out with Thursdays. It was Thursdays was my shoulder days, but it was also his shoulder days. So one time I just engaged, and I was like, hey, Sam, you want to hit shoulders this Thursday or next Thursday or whatever? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And from there is how it began, and now we lift daily.
That is awesome.
That's awesome. Can we touch base on OliveDrab Performance?
Yeah.
Just for those out there who don't really know about the brand itself.
Yeah, absolutely. So Thomas and I we're both in the Marine Corps. He's a combat vet. He's a Purple Heart recipient ×2.
Wow.
One thing that is huge in the military or our culture is physical fitness, and then it's also mental health.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Mental health is huge, and it's awesome how it's being more spoken about, less taboo.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing we wanted to do was come up with a phenomenal product. Our target audience is the veteran community, or anyone that loves America.
Right. Or anybody that just loves fitness in general.
Yeah.
So we wanted to come up with something that would have a purpose and tie back into the veteran community. So our flagship product is America's pre-workout, which is our pre-workout. It's a fully transparent formula, so there's no proprietary blend.
Wow.
You know how much of what you're receiving.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
And a portion of the proceeds go back to a foundation, Warrior Built Foundation. So Thomas served with the Marine who founded that foundation. They're based out of Lake Elsinore, and what they do is they come up with they create vocational and rehabilitational programs that are hands-on to create like a therapeutic way of dealing with mental health or PTSD. And they're fairly large in the Baja truck racing. So we partnered up with Warrior Built, and that's how we're tying it back to the veteran community. And then really that's the why. That's why we started it.
Wow.
And then from there it's just getting the brand out there, showing the identity of what we do, how we do it, why we do it. And so at the moment we have a pre-workout, which is America's pre-workout. We have a whey isolate protein, which is the American way.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. It's very catchy. The American way.
Yeah, and then we have some apparel on our website, OliveDrabPerformance.com. And that's where that bad boy is at right now.
That is awesome,
That's
man.
awesome.
And that's many accomplishments.
Yeah, and it's for a great cause, so that's awesome.
And it seems that you always took yourself out of the equation, and it's for the positive impact.
Yeah.
You know, and also for your family to reap those benefits. And that is amazing.
Yeah, the more you give, the more you have.
Absolutely. So Andrew, there's this game that we play.
Okay.
So
And these aren't they're deep questions, but it's from the deck.
Okay, so we're not asking you that. We're not asking you. The deck is asking
So
you.
it's Fate and Destiny.
Fate and Destiny, that's it. So we're going to have you pick, say, 2 or 3. What do you think? Yeah? Let's say 2. Take 2 cards.
All right.
There's 1. Okay. First question.
What does the world need more of? I would say the world needs more positive role models that continue to hammer down on that positive mental attitude and really just focus on the mindset. I feel like higher education focuses on the science of learning more, but I myself didn't go to a 4-year institution. I went to the USMC, right? That's my alma mater, and I can see from the outsider looking in for the return on investment of some individuals that go to a 4-year college and incur this debt. They could definitely use some just more positive mental attitude.
Absolutely.
Right?
I love that.
I got a little sidetracked on that, but just the mindset carries a huge value, huge return on investment, and there's different ways to skin a cat. Not everyone needs to go to college, but everyone is programmed to go to college. There's definitely those those career fields out there that it's a necessity for you to go in that direction. But just have those people on the platforms talk about that there are alternative routes to being set up for success and further developing the mindset. But yeah, to circle back, what does the world need more of? I would just say those people, those mentors, those coaches to guide and direct those in the right direction.
Yeah, and to touch base on that, if there's anyone out there that is seeking mentorship but doesn't know where to look, or they are, the main number one excuse that people have in their dream is capital. They don't have the money to do the things that they want to do, and they don't know how to take immediate action. Well, if you're looking for a mentor, Think Big, Work Small. It's ran by David Albanese. It's an amazing, phenomenal mastermind program, and I want you guys to follow him right now on Instagram, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and on Facebook at Think Big, Work Small. He's going to invest in you guys.
Absolutely.
And then we have one more deep question for you.
That's awesome. So question number 2, what possibilities are you creating today? So for me, I want to say that the biggest possibility that I'm creating today is the possibility of going back to mindset, showing through example of optimism, and it's everything that is within your control, you dominate it. Don't get bent out of shape over the things or items that are outside of your control. Stay in your lane and focus on what you can do. But through example, for those that are in the military or the Marine Corps, I want to say that I'm showing them that just because you join the military, there are tons of other paths that you can go, and as you grow and develop as a person, circumstances change. You never know what you're going to get into. Because going back to when I was 17, I joined the Marine Corps because I wanted to get into law enforcement. Fast forward 15 years, I have a military background. I was in aviation logistics. I was in the recruiting environment. I started an ATM business. I started a photo booth rental company. I started a supplement company. I'm looking to get into a franchise gym.
That is amazing.
What is the common denominator?
Mindset.
It's the mindset.
And discipline.
And resilience.
Yes.
So through setting the example or just showing that it's possible, that you're not cornered into any one thing, you can do whatever you want.
Especially what society expects, where you need to get that formal education, and then from there it leads you to that 9-to-5 corporate job, and it's just playing it safe.
Yeah.
But for what? To get yourself in $60,000 to $80,000 debt? Because I found myself doing the same exact thing, and law enforcement being my outlet, I realized there's so much more to life than this.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're able to recognize that at a young age and maneuver and pivot, and now you have yourself in different things they're growing. Look at it. It's amazing.
Yeah, and then just to add to that, I would say something that's huge and that has been very impactful is just exposure. Being exposed to things that are not within your comfort zone, right? And I'll reference Sam because up until before meeting him, I felt like I was moving in the right direction in life. I'm doing things. I had certain monetary goals that I felt like would set me up to be financially free or be very comfortable.
Right.
But getting to interact and just be around and talk with someone that is in that 7 or multiple 7-figure role, it really just exposes you to possibilities, and it opens up your own mindset and your own perspective and seeing what is possible. Because let's just say, for example, my initial goal 3 or 4 years ago was, I don't know how I'm going to get to $15K a month, but I'm gonna get there, right? So for me, that was me doing a far stretch into what I felt was reachable, and it's like the how sort of came together, right? But through meeting Sam, it's like my mindset is like, okay, I need to get to 40 to 60K a month.
Wow.
And I feel like it's reachable, it's attainable, and I can do it. I just need to take the actionable steps in getting it done.
You gotta 10x it, right?
Yeah, 10x it. Yeah, you know, you and it's true. It's you speak it into reality.
Yes.
Wow.
And when you speak it in, when you start talking about it and you make it more real, you start thinking about how can I do that, or how can I do this. And it's like, I can only imagine once you get in the ballpark of hitting that 50, 60K a month, you're just like, okay, how do I get to 1 to 200K a month?
Yes.
And then you start seeking opportunities that can make that a reality, and so on. So it's like, that's the journey that I'm on right now. I need to get to 40 to 60K a month.
You'll definitely do it.
That's awesome. You truly have no limits. And it's amazing that someone such as Sam at his caliber was able to show you an aspect of yourself that you weren't aware of. And I don't see you stopping anytime soon.
No, not at all.
It's great.
It's only gonna get better from here.
Right.
Trust me. But that is awesome, man. First and foremost, man, we just want to say thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
For coming on our show and telling your story. It is so inspiring. And for any of you out there, if this message resonated with you, like it, comment below, share it. And, you know, our goal is to provide knowledge, value, and wisdom to you guys. And to show you guys that anything is possible. And like Gift said, there are no limits. He is a living example. I'm a living example. He is a living example. So if you can, just tell the audience where they could get a hold of you or find you for all your endeavors. Yeah,
most definitely. I'm most active on Instagram. My handle is Cruz909. I have a link tree from there, but yeah, if you have questions about anything, or if there's anything that I could assist you with, if you're looking to join the military, if you're in the military and you're looking to transition and you're a little lost or maybe need some direction or guidance, just reach out. I'm a button press away. Yeah.
Absolutely. And feel free to follow us on Instagram at the Unbreakables Podcast. We're also on LinkedIn at the Unbreakables Podcast. You can find us on Facebook at the Unbreakables Podcast, Jay Merger and GiftThePoet. And follow myself on Instagram at _GiftThePoet_. I'm dropping freestyles weekly starting today. You're not going to want to miss them. They're fire.
And we will be on all streaming platforms, from social media to podcasting platforms. Thank you guys again.
Thank you, Andrew.
Hey, have a good one. Thank you, guys.
I am unbreakable. Unbreakable.